This program is sponsored by Rotterdam Pride, Dare to Unite.
Hello, good evening Europe, and welcome to Pride Summerweek, the 010 edition. And tonight with Pride in Sports, not my extreme knowledge, but I'm very happy to be here with my co-host Chantal van der Putten. Chantal, welcome.
Thank
Pride
you,
in
Wesley.
Sports. So what's the show about and who are our guests?
Our show is about emancipation, diversity and inclusion in sports.
That's a lot, no?
That's a lot, yes. And we have three perfect guests this time. Sophie Schers, she is from Transgender Network the Netherlands, and she also played hockey in her youth. Very interesting.
Remarkable.
Yes. And we have a young Pieter de Lugt.
Okay, people are not gonna understand that in
No.
Europe. JP?
JP, we
JP,
can call him
we'll call you
JP.
JP.
Yes. And he is from, it's very funny, he's from Pride Sports, his organization called Pride Sports.
So he copied that from this episode?
Yeah, I think so.
No, of course not. But it's nice that we have Pride in Sports in Pride in Sports, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And last but not least, we have Paul van Dorst from the...
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The Pink Fellows.
Yes,
the
the Pink
Roze
Fellows.
Kameraden. And
Yes.
we had him on the show last year. He was the one with the fan club of Feyenoord.
Yes, the supporters
Yeah.
club. Yeah, the supporters association.
Sounds like a full show, so let's go to the couch and welcome our guests. Pride in Sports, and then I'm always happy that Chantal is next to me on the couch because I don't know anything about sports.
And it's
well,
my
not that
favorite.
much. Well, I know one of the guests, but we're going to reveal that later.
Yes.
Pride in Sports, welcome. Paul van Dorst, Sophie Schers, and JP de Lugt, or Jan Pieter de Lugt.
Whatever you
What
like,
prefer?
JP is fine.
JP.
Thank you.
But to start with you.
Yes, you are the chairman of Pride Sports. Can you tell us something about this organization?
Yes, for sure. We are the leading Dutch national platform for LGBT in sports, for the visibility, acceptance.
You didn't copy this episode because I thought that was Pride in Sports, no? The episode. This episode's called Pride in Sports, but that's something different.
Neither of us copied it, I guess. But it's lovely to be a guest in the program.
Yeah. Well, we're honored. Yeah.
So,
Just kidding. Sorry.
yeah. So actually, we take care of the safe space for LGBT sports people, and visibility, acceptance, especially the safety for the people is very important for us.
And why is that important?
People in day-to-day life are faced with discrimination, exclusion, and within sports it's at least the same, perhaps even worse. And if you don't take care of that, then you take away, we feel it's criminal because you take away, in fact, healthy
There's a big difference between sports, right? Because now we're talking as sports as a whole. But like last month, there was finally a professional soccer player, that came out.
Absolutely.
That's for me a sport, and we talked about that last year as well. That's more difficult with LGBTIQ plus rights.
Of course, it's a very masculine sport, and it's a team sport, so that counts double, I guess. And I'm sure that Paul, with his documentary, is the expert on that. Unfortunately, because it's not that easy, and especially the homophobic, transphobic, interphobic language slur is terrible, and you cannot perform to your full potential if you hear this all day long. So this is why we are
Very
there,
important.
and we represent 95 rainbow sport clubs, in fact. We are in contact with 22 prides in the Netherlands, so it's simple.
So it goes from like the Olympics, the Olympic team, the NSF, all the way to the amateur sport clubs.
Yes, the elite level, but also the amateur sports. We are focusing on the amateur sports ourselves, because that is where we think we can make the most gain for the people, especially the youth. And under this youth is a very high percentage of suicide,
which is higher than with their age members, the same age in their youth, but not doing sports.
Absolutely, and you cannot be what you cannot see. No. So in other words, if you do not see any example of someone like you, you cannot imagine that it can be you.
So you speak about role models?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes. And how can you...
We have 17 million role models, in fact.
In this country?
In this country. Well, it's not that festive, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you have your own role models, I read about. Yeah.
Of course, we have our own ambassadors, as we call them, and we are really trying to uplift our community, to support them wherever we can, and then especially we're focusing also on the marginalized communities, such as the transgender people, non-binary people, people of color. So this is very important for us, and this is also the reason that, for example, we collaborated with Björn Borg. And then when we agree to all of that, what we're going to do and introduce this wonderful pride line, that we want our models, our athletes, to be in the photo shoot. And now this all goes global, because again, we need to make it visible.
It's very important to have the outgoing voice, but also the diversity being shown by role models. Can you give some examples in different sports for the ambassadors or role models that you have? That
we know Bowie.
Yeah, sure, Bowie.
Good example, I think.
Absolutely. Bowie is, and there's also a lot in the media with a good cause, and very supportive to all of what we are doing.
And he's also in the documentary of Paul.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, so
going to Paul.
Everything comes together.
Yeah.
On this couch. And you played hockey.
I played field hockey, yes.
Yes. And how was that for you?
Well, I've been playing, well, I'm not playing anymore. I quit like 8 years ago, but I played field hockey from my youth, and so I started with the boys, and until maybe the age of, I think, 23, and even I was already in the process of coming out when I quit field hockey, and then I quit for 6 years because I thought, well, I can't do my transition and play sports. Mm-hmm. There were no examples at present at that time, and after 6 years I thought, well, I'm still dreaming about hockey. I want to play it again. So I joined a student hockey club in the city of Nijmegen, and there I contacted the board, so it's all students, all volunteers, and they were like, well, everyone is welcome here. So we talked about it, and I was like, okay, I want to start in a training team because my performance won't be that good after doing nothing for 6 years. So after the first training, I almost couldn't stand up again because I was too much thinking, well, I can do everything, but I couldn't. But after that, like, there were not really questions, but I didn't shower with them. And a year later, I started doing competition, and well, there were some I think I came out, and then I joined. I moved to another city, and there I talked to the board again. There were not students, but regular people, a club with youth and adults, and
Because when did you do your transition? How many years ago was that?
that's well, it's a process. So
Yeah.
it started like 17 years ago, and so those 6 years that I wasn't playing field hockey,
Yeah.
I was like busy with myself.
Yeah, of course.
Although it's in such period, it's good to also be active.
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
Did you have information available for you at that time, or
On
for
how-
the
how
sports,
to-
or
No. So it was only after I became active within the trans community that I became strong enough for myself to like tell my story and say I want to play hockey and I am trans.
oh wow, yeah,
And that went well. Like it's not something you tell your competitors, but it. And I did tell my second hockey team, like because people were talking, and I did shower with them, like that's
Did
really
you get
normal.
questions at
It's
that time?
really normal within.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't get the questions myself. All
Oh,
my
yeah.
teammates. It's really regular. People talk behind my back with questions.
maybe not.
So
maybe.
people think, well, I'm too scared to ask Sophie questions, and that's good because don't bother me with your questions. But
Is that so? Because
Well,
that's maybe something for people also to learn. Would you
yeah.
have preferred people to come up to you one-on-one, or would you have preferred the way that it?
well, the thing is, I discussed this with the coach and someone from the board and the technical manager of the hockey club, and they said, well, okay, you told your story, and if there are questions, people start talking, then we tell our story. So that was the agreement, and of course I don't mind getting questions, but it's something I'm rather done with.
Yeah.
Then I want to play hockey. I'm there
Yeah.
to play hockey and not talk about my transition
Yeah.
or my body. And that's the thing with the people in trans people in sports, that they do get unwanted questions, unwanted remarks, intimate questions about what's in your pants, things like that. And
Excuse me.
yeah,
You don't ask that to anyone. Why would they
yeah, no, people don't know.
want to
They-
ask
they
that
think-
to you?
But even with
It's none of your
they
business.
think with good intentions, they're curious.
I can't see any good intentions in
No,
that question. I'm
No,
sorry.
but it's like a social. It's kind of social norm about trans people that you can
People
talk about
don't.
their gender,
You can ask everything.
and that's
That's the same to gay people. That
Yeah.
that people think you can ask everything about sex life. And
Well, I
things
always
like
say you
that.
can ask anything, but the answer maybe yes, maybe no, huh?
Yeah,
Never know.
yeah, but sometimes not so polite to ask it. I
No,
think.
but this is because it's an emotional process for yourself. How is your experience in this field, or what are the different sounds that you hear about? I'm shocked by this. What you're telling me about the question.
And yeah, and this is, I think, only the mild form of what is happening to many people.
Yeah.
And I think you know the stories as well. It's a battle, day to day, facing exclusion, body shaming.
people not allowed to compete.
It's no longer treating you like a human being. I mean, if you would not ask that question to anyone, why would they want to ask it to you?
But the people are wrestling because they see those bodies and it's not masculine enough, or it is different than what they expect according to them. What is the norm on femininity? So and when it doesn't fit, then they are ready to attack.
Yeah. Well, and not defending this at all, but I once had a conversation with a very wise minister, Harold Scholle, who's joining us for Pride and Politics as well. Pride and Religion, I'm sorry. And he said, the road for you has been long. Let the people have the same amount of time to get used to that, which does not mean that they can ask you questions that are really weird. So I understand that side of the spectrum, but I think it's very important also to hear this story from you and your experiences, because I can understand that people are like not knowing how to handle it, but this is not okay, right?
Yeah, and I think it's really tough to play in a hockey team.
Well, you're like the single trans person in the hockey club,
Yeah.
or the single trans person in a football
Call that
competition.
unique.
Yeah.
So it's you're unique,
Yeah.
but that
No.
creates questions
Yeah.
and people are not in the know, so they start saying things and doing things without knowing how to act, and that's kind of problem. And people who do have silly ideas about gender or trans bodies start saying stupid things. And I'm glad there's like a Pride in Sports and other initiatives within sports that try to change this.
Yeah.
But isn't it all about education? It's all about education, because I think a lot of people just don't know what their question will do for the other people, for the other person. It's all about education.
Well, I would say the solution would be education, empowerment and empathy
Yeah.
and allyship.
Yeah, true.
So we
true.
need to teach the people and they should be encouraged to learn about our language as LGBT, what we're dealing.
I think it's very important to give information, because it's actually exactly like you all say, what you don't know is strange, right? That's also a Dutch saying. That's also why we make this talk show, to inform people, because sometimes they just don't know, which doesn't make it right.
No, but it is also not easy. I mean, on the one hand, we talk about sexual orientation, then you have the gender gender identity and expression, and then there's also, of course, the sex characteristics. So it, and those three things are different.
Big mistake that gender identification has anything to do with sexual
And this is
preference.
also what we see in the research now, that the acceptance also in the Netherlands, which just came out 1 month ago, that actually the acceptance is relatively high, but if they now compare the two groups, then for transgender people, non-binary people, it is much more difficult, and also comes out of the statistics now. So this is a reflection, of course, of statistics, because our communities are dealing with this daily, and it's doing something with people's mental health.
Well, I would like to go for a small bit to Paul, because otherwise people will think, who's the tall guy next to the short talk show host? It's my friend Paul. We had you as a guest last year in Pride in Sports, and you are founder of the the fan club.
The fan club.
Of the biggest football club of Rotterdam, because we have 3, but Feyenoord.
Yep.
The Roze Kameraden,
The Pink Fellows.
The Pink Fellows.
The Pink Fellows.
We translated it for this
Yeah.
year, so you can take that with you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Pink comrades.
Doesn't cost you anything.
Nah.
But we're laughing about it now, and I am very proud, because you are on the board as well.
Yes.
And you're on a documentary, but we will come back to that, because otherwise it will all spin to me.
Yep.
But you had a lot of trouble just founding the fan club.
I had some bumps in the road, yes.
I mean, it's not even your personal transition, it's founding a fan club for the LGBTIQ plus community.
Yep.
You got harassed, death threats, your
This week
sports,
also,
your CrossFit got
Almost burned down.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is the situation now, Paul?
It is okay. It is okay. It remains difficult, because it's not easy that you see these kind of negative reactions come to you. But I think what really supports me is the enormous amount of positive reactions that we also get.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a very big compliment, also to Chantal, but also to us as the Roze Kameraden, the entire fan club.
Yeah.
If you see what the media leverage is, or the coverage is for us, it shows that if you hold on, you can really achieve something. And I think we can all be proud. In like 9 months, we were not even there for a year. What we did in 9 months, I think we can all be very proud of it.
But is the amount of negativity that you get from people still there? Is it still and and also, well, I cannot say amount, but the shortage of positivity that you get from the football club itself. Is there a change?
Not really within the football club. I think they.
My God, Feyenoord, please, come on.
I know. We do talk with them currently. However, I don't have the feeling we're really getting something somewhere.
What would be the next logical step for you? What would you want Feyenoord and the board of Feyenoord, which is a professional football club, what would be the next step that you want to make with them?
A plan of attack for reactions and chants.
You showed me pictures from in the stadium,
Yep.
in the public, and listen again, board of Feyenoord, with swastikas and hate slogans to the pink fellows, to the Roze Kameraden.
Yep.
That's really not okay.
No, and the thing is, it was in their stadium. That was where they have control over what happens in their stadium.
Yeah.
It's not okay. No, they do have a very big problem.
I don't even dare to ask if our shout out last year to other professional football clubs if they have a pink fan club, but no, probably Ajax, PSV.
No, but we do see a change. We do see a change, and we really got some messages from other football clubs and other supporters that they also want to try to set something up for their football club.
Okay.
Some are a little bit scared since what happened to us.
Yeah.
Some are like, okay, if you can do it all together, then we're stronger. So that's also.
How do you see that? I'm sorry. How do you see that, JP?
I think it's very important that because by collaborating, you're much stronger. In fact, that's what we are doing because we collaborated with all the rainbow sports clubs and build it up, bottom up basically, rather than top down, because we are facing this nasty behavior. So a lot of people are talking about visibility and acceptance. Yes, that's all very important. But the real thing is we need to change behavior of people. And what you've had with pink swastikas, I had it at my home. And I don't know, this is not related now, it was 2 years, 3 years back. But similar type of attack. You don't know from whom it is.
But it's out of this world that he and maybe others too need police protection at their home because they want to have a fan club for the community for to support their team.
And that's the only thing.
What are we talking about, people?
But that is why it is so important to educate and to empower and to and to really call upon allyship of people. And if they know, if they stand up, they speak up, that is so important because in the end it protects us all.
Does the coming out of the professional soccer player, I'm sorry, last month, how important is that?
We see it as a very important sign, and it's also, I think, a demonstration of a new generation that is very aware of the situation of their own bodies, and they set boundaries, and they don't have fear anymore. Enough is enough. They just stand up and they decide what's going on with their career, with their lives. I think it's a very positive sign, and we stood upon the shoulders of previous activists, of course, and hopefully all of what we are doing right now and all we are building and kicking some asses with politicians who sometimes don't even make or create any policy, and if they create a policy they do not enforce them, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
No, but I think the only way that he could have gone out of
Ways up.
the only way is up. No, the only way he got out of the closet in the UK is because there is a safe environment within football for LGBT.
You two went to the UK. Maybe you can tell something about the documentary.
What we really saw is that in the UK they created a culture that it is okay to have a pink or an LGBT fan club. They really focus on having people going safe to the stadium, going safe to the football club. If any chants or chants are homophobic, they really react and respond, and they kick those guys out of the stadium. And I think only in that kind of culture makes it a safe environment for some guy to come out of the closet as a professional football player.
What is the reason that it's possible there and not in the Netherlands?
Yeah.
We are the Netherlands.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no,
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 but it's a very good question because I have that same feeling.
Yeah.
But we are the Netherlands. We are with trans place 29, I heard.
Yeah.
And
I know.
on the LGBTIQ plus index,
Yeah.
we went from 12 to 13. I think that we started like a sprint,
Yes.
Yep.
but it's a marathon. So we're tumbling down.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we do.
So do you know what's the reason that in Germany and England it's possible to have a pink?
Yeah, I think we really lost the focus on going to remain on that progressive path we had in the past. And what I really saw that in England, in the UK, because I wasn't in Germany, but I was in the UK, in Liverpool. What I saw over there was the way of collaboration between the club, the police, the city, just all parties involved that has the same goal, and they are just working together to achieve that same goal, and aren't thinking of responsibilities. In the Netherlands, you see, it's not my responsibility, that's the responsibility of the club, or that's the responsibility of the football association. And just in the UK, they all work together, having the same goal.
So that's actually what you just said. Sorry, I lost my voice. I'm Ariel.
So all the policies and responsibilities, it's very scattered in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So you know, so the whole message, you know, loses its power.
Do you have an advice for Paul?
An advice for Paul? I think he's doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not right, but you say, okay, so we combine our force. You're, well, you combined the force with the club from The Hague.
Yeah.
There are more initiatives. Do you think that it can help if you do this nationally?
Of course, with the support of politicians,
Yeah.
because it you know, this cannot do this just by yourself. This is too much of a topic. It is yeah, too heavy, and I think together you're much stronger.
Yeah.
And I think the best attitude is don't take no for an answer.
True.
And just don't bend over and get fucked.
Yeah. No, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't agree, but on a personal
No,
note.
but what you said earlier, it's really important to have your allies, because you cannot do it on your own. It's impossible to do it on your own. You have to find your allies, and I think that's the same for you, of course. You always have to find your allies to get stronger.
There's a very big group in the middle who are way less outspoken, and it's all about the majority to get them behind your idea, because it is a small minority actually that determines what is happening to your CrossFit.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there was some research, like 7.7% of.
But it's a very angry
defense,
minority, so that is, you know, causing a lot of trouble, and other people feel very insecure. So if we all speak up, then of course the norm will change.
Yeah.
And once the norm is changed, we can all live happily ever
like
after.
walking hand in hand on the street, right?
But it's exactly, I think, the initiative we take now, for example, for the cycling.
Yeah. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah. Now.
Can you start about it?
Yeah. So it's we set up this initiative together with our director cycling, Tabi Sutherland, and it's a call upon all the LGBT cyclists, but also all the brands, all the politicians, all the clubs, the cycling groups. In other words, creating a safe space is a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
Are you cycling?
No,
not
but
cycling.
I mean, why does this work with cycling and not with soccer?
Well, because
Don't know anything. Maybe I ask
no,
you.
but
he was doing soccer already.
I think there's just one answer: the masculine world of soccer.
Football is more masculine, I think.
Yeah.
No, but if I tell you the numbers,
Yeah.
just you will be shocked, because the KNWU, which is the Dutch Cycling Federation, 36% of their own members actually said that they feel unsafe, are harassed, coerced, bullied in their own sport. And these are white, probably dominant, male. So let alone how a marginalized group, people of color or non-binary people, trans people, But anyway,
Everything not
Yeah.
cis man.
exactly.
No.
So what happened is that we also did a little research in a transgender group of cyclists, and 95% out of fear of discrimination did not even join any other cycling club. So they start cycling together. These are just some numbers. So we thought we need to change this industry. We cannot let this happen. You cannot take away such a nice sport from all these people, and again taking away a lot of healthy years of life.
And we can watch a little movie, I think.
We have an introduction video.
Yes, yes.
A little warning, it's a tear-jerking video.
Ooh,
Oh no, not
we
again.
will watch it now. Yes.
Gonna have a little look at that.
You know that feeling when you can't get out of bed? You struggle to find clothes that make you feel good. You struggle to find the will to face the discrimination and harassment that comes with everyday life. You want to just stop. You want to go back. But you are not alone. Pride in Sports is here for you. Together we are stronger, and we pedal together against prejudice. We are here, and the road ahead is clear.
So we just had our handkerchiefs right here, but it is shocking.
Yes, yes.
But also, how is that for you now? Did you see a change in the time that you had the weird questions, well, the crazy questions, when you just wanted to do what you liked, your sports, and now?
Yeah, well, I didn't get the question, but I know people in the same time got questions in other kinds of sports.
Yeah.
And I know field hockey is still not really safe for LGBT players. And I do think things have changed. Of course, the NOC-NSF, the Dutch Olympic Committee, they introduced a trans and intersex guideline. I think it was maybe 7 years ago for the first time.
You were
Just
closely
after-
involved there, right?
I was closely involved, and then I think over a year ago, a new guideline was presented, and now we're starting work on updating that one. So I think that's and everyone whom I've been working with within NOC-NSF, it's really like we have to take care of this. We have to make sure that trans and intersex people can play sports. Of course, it's about recreational sports, but this is so important because clubs and national federations, they have questions, and they get questions from clubs or members, and they want them answered, and they don't know the answer, so they have a place where they can go and talk about it or get advice, and I think that works really well, and it's good that they involve trans and intersex organizations.
For every sport, for every type of sport.
I think so. Yeah, but of course not all
Even this,
national federations are as involved. So like football, hockey, tennis, athletics, swimming, they're involved. And I do hear about.
But not the racing, for example, because
No.
of racing, it is
No.
not gender specific.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Does there is there anything
Interesting,
happening from the Dutch government? Because apparently the different sports and different clubs and amateur, professional, Olympic, they all have their own thoughts, guidelines. Well, that's the way it seems to be right now. Is there something we're going down from place 12 to place 13 on the
It's not only due to sports, I believe. It is along the line. Yeah.
How is it possible that you get death threats, that you get really weird questions, that there's a big difference? Your story about the cycling. How can it be such a difference between the sports, and how can it be so terribly in the Netherlands?
I think it's the Netherlands is definitely not the utopia that you are now.
The stupid thing is that image is still out there in Europe.
Yeah, true.
I know,
It is.
But this country is full of discrimination and exclusion, and in sports it only makes this difference more visible, perhaps, because it's about, I don't know, a small amount of money that they're all fighting for, etc., etc. So,
And they're all work. It's all volunteer work, most of it.
yeah.
And they have to manage a lot of things, like in the big cities. Youth playing sports, well, it's you have to raise them because maybe it doesn't happen at home as good as society expects, and volunteers have their hands full with a lot of kids.
Yeah, but
and then it creates like, oh, we can't have that also on our plate, and that's a problem, because like there's trans and gay kids that also need support.
And there are people that say, well, let's do a separate competition for trans people. Would that be a solution? How do you?
No, that's a joke. It's a joke. It's totally absurd. I can't even get into that. It's like, oh, would like the swimmer compete with the tennis player, and the tennis player would compete with the track runner? I don't know. It's like you do know a number of cyclists, but like organize a Tour de France with 100 trans cyclists. Who would sponsor that?
Well, but what do you think about Emily Bridges?
Bjorn Borg, maybe.
It's awful. She was banned from competing. Like,
For no reason, because she was.
It's fear. It's like in England.
What's the story? I don't know. What's the story?
She's a trans cyclist, and she was eligible to compete.
Yeah.
But that was retracted on
1 day before the.
Yeah.
Because of her transition.
Yeah, because they changed the rules.
They changed the rules under political pressure.
Going back
So,
to base for me, if you have had your transition, are you allowed? Let's say you're going to be an Olympic player. Are you allowed to do so?
I think so. Yeah, but
Depending on your.
I think it's also depending on the sports, right?
It's about being an elite sport player is about performance, about being the best, and not about just your
full potential.
Yeah, your full potential, not about just your body. Like a trans player who was elite and in maybe male sports, and does the same training and stuff like that, will be an elite player in women's sports, but she won't. She maybe win a match, but she won't stand out. Like the weightlifter Hubbard, she didn't come near to the world record, and it's you make a total fuss about one player or one person competing at Olympic level, and say, well, we need to ban trans players. They will make win.
Overwhelm the system. I said, okay, how many trans world champions do you know?
But true. I do CrossFit, and what I found really amazing is that it's quite an inclusive sport. And in 2018, there was a trans woman who started a lawsuit against CrossFit because she wanted to compete in the women's division, and she wasn't allowed. So she started a lawsuit, and before the lawsuit was already done.
What was the argument not to allow her to do that?
Because they were afraid that she was too good because she came from a man to a woman.
In strength.
In strength, yeah. And however, in 2018, before the lawsuit was already finished, this CrossFit just said, okay, you can, everybody can just compete in the gender division that they identify, even identify, so you don't.
Is there a change in strength? Is the logical argument what there is being used?
A question that many people have on their minds, and there's like research that say, well, trans people can keep, well, their bodies don't, like my shoulders won't come shrink.
No.
And my bones don't get shorter,
God, I know.
and things like that. But like I wasn't the fastest in my hockey team, and things like that. And of course, when someone bumps into me, they tend to fall on the ground, and I don't. That's the only thing. But with sports, the thing is, every sport is different, every body is different, every trans body is different.
Yeah.
You can't make any general policies based on testosterone.
All human bodies are different.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand is this comparison that people like to make, whether we should choose between fairness, inclusion, or competition, or all of this.
Well, that's the title of this show. It seems like opposites. Are we going for inclusion, or are we going for fair play, or can we combine them?
No, but this is a total wrong comparison. So
Why?
Like we're white male basketball players harmed by the introduction of well, not the introduction, but by black players who were allowed to start playing. Well, you could argue, yeah, because there are less white players, but like now the black players can compete, and you play together, and that's the thing. Sports is about your individual performance. It's when you make it all about competition, then yeah, you have to look at everybody's body and fairness and say, well, okay, with those large toes you can't compete anymore in swimming because that's not fair.
Yeah.
yeah, but fair. So that's the argument. Fairness.
Yeah,
So if it seems unfair, but you cannot explain me why or what is unfair, then for me this is transphobic.
It is transphobic because like we don't have that discussion about fairness on other body types.
No.
You only do it about trans body types. Yeah, it's transphobic.
And none of us can mention 10 world champions who are trans person.
No.
So what
like
is
a
it?
chicken egg. Who was first? Yeah. No, but when we were talking about this show, we said, okay, so everywhere there's fair play, and then there's like a trend going on, like inclusion, but we don't see the combination that much. And why not?
But that's the intention with the new IOC guidelines to say, well, having trans people compete is fair and is inclusive, and we can't make general policies, but
we leave it to the federations to make the rules, and
they
actually
can
that
do
we are
something
worse
totally
off.
different.
Because
like in athletics, you're worse off.
definitely.
So Paul, coming to you, there is a documentary now on Dutch television.
Yeah, so what they did for the documentary is they followed a big group of LGBT supporters within football. Chantal was also in there, so was me. And they followed our journey from our start to where we are today. And you see also supporters from different clubs, and you see the different point of view of the clubs as well. Yeah.
And they followed you from beginning.
Yeah. Even before we started our fan club.
So I think that is worthwhile watching. Can we see this? Because it was on Dutch TV last month.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it on the EU, but it was on NPO Start.
Yes.
The Dutch public.
But maybe in future that they will translate it.
Go look it up. The pink supporters in Dutch, the Roze supporters. Also for our people from Belgium. Did you see it?
No.
I saw a few episodes. Honestly, I didn't see all. Sorry, Paul. Sorry, Chantal.
It's a beautiful.
It's still possible.
It is still for NPO start, I think I heard. Yeah.
But it's a nice start to show people.
Yeah, and it really gets the discussion going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
What is Pride for you? Ending almost at the end of this episode.
Pride for me
After this experience, did it change?
No, pride for me is really stand up for who you are and being yourself in no matter where you what, and helping each other because you're not alone in this world. And I think we have society now have to look for each other.
It needs bravery, but you did, and you get support. Thank you. Nice having you here again.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Sophie, what is Pride for you?
Well, for me, I think it's supporting my community and creating change for them. And I've been doing that for over a decade, and I hope to continue that for a long time.
You're being a role model yourself.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your story.
Yeah, yeah, and JP.
Well, Pride to me means a celebration in the first place. Celebration of life, the celebration of who you are. But in the same time, fighting for our communities, make sure life gets better. That's definitely true. And trying to have policies and combating discrimination and exclusion. That is for me Pride.
Still a long way to go.
So we say be Pride, be proud and work out.
Oh,
Hey Paul, for you.
go.
Be Pride, be proud and work out.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
Be Pride, be proud and work out. At your CrossFit, apparently.
Of course, yeah, I'll come just all.
With a little help from your friends and Bjorn Borg. Coming to Bjorn Borg, you have something nice for our viewers that we can do, right? There's something you want to give away to start the positive energy in here.
Exactly, to celebrate this Pride and the Pink Saturday.
What can we win and where can we go and how can I win it?
Yes.
I'm not allowed to join, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
So this is one of the pieces. I have also the socks of Björn Borg. So it's a complete set. And I have asked Björn Borg if they would be so kind to actually have two sets as a giveaway.
Oh, that's so nice.
So it's up to you, but I think follow our socials
Yes.
to see how you can win one of the sets, and it will be sent to your place.
The socials of Pride and Sport.
Socials of Pride and Sports, and we are linking with you as well, of course.
Let's do this. Follow the socials of Pride and Sports.
So we have
And
a
us,
happy end.
and us, Pride Summerweek, the 010 edition.
Yes.
Leave your name in the comments. We're gonna do a social post, and in 2 weeks
Yes.
we will
Oh, dat mag
pick
je
a
niet in het
winner.
Engels.
We will pick
Pick a
a
winner.
we will pick a winner. Chantal, please, can I win, please?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, and thank you Bjorn Borg for that contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah.
Ending this show in positivity.
And if you don't win, please buy the Pride line because all the proceeds, all the profit will go to Pride and Sports as a donation by Pride and
Order it.
Yeah, of course, at the Bijenkorf. You can even go here to see it at Bijenkorf, and you will also find Björn Borg times Pride and Sport.
It's a beautiful initiative.
Yeah.
And it's also a beautiful where to go to the Pride, or just to
Yeah.
where to come to your CrossFit, or to go to Feyenoord. Let's do
Yes.
that.
Oh yeah.
So people, Bjorn Borg, we've named it a lot. We're not sponsored, maybe yet. It's for a good cause, ending this show in positivity, feeling the vibe. Thank you for being our guest.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and I hope you at home as well. Thank you for your bravery, all three of you.
Thank you so much for being here.
And what are we gonna do tomorrow? I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know.
see you tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Would you ask me to dance if you saw I was alone? Would you reach out your hand? Have you been afraid to set foot onto the light? Could you try to understand that it takes time to find yourself and reach the holy land? You gotta listen to the voice you knew beforehand. How you lived, how you love, what it's like to be moving on from something that was golden. And now you find it is tough to blow the candles out alone without a hand to hold you. How long did it take to say out loud you were scared of everything? 'Cause if what we had could fall apart, then so can anything. I know it takes time to find yourself and reach the holy land. You gotta listen to the voices you hear inside your head. How you live, how you love, what it's like to be moving on from something that was golden. And now you find it is tough to blow the candles out alone without a hand to hold you. Even though we're different, you have a place in my heart. It'll all get better, the storm will weather. Just hold on. I know it takes time to find yourself and reach the holy land. You gotta listen to the voices you knew beforehand. How you live, how you love, what it's like to be moving on from something that was golden. Now you find it is tough to blow the candles out alone without a hand to hold you. Without a hand to hold you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.